Hello everyone, I'm Ellen McCloskey, and this is my Module 1 Introduction. So just a little bit about myself. I've put in a few images here, but in the top left-hand corner, that's me and my husband Andrew. I'm a fourth generation educator, so I come from a very long line of teachers, and my dad was an administrator my entire life, and he's still a superintendent here in Kansas. Andrew and I are small crop and cattle farmers. You can see a picture of one of our dogs with the cattle up in the top right-hand corner. We raise a lot of bucket calves in the bottom right-hand corner. And we have all sorts of animals on our farm. We have goats and chickens and dogs and cats and horses and cattle. We're always looking to add something new. Some of my hobbies are reading, watching Jayhawk basketball, and spending time with our friends and family. So in the bottom left-hand corner is a picture of all of our friends. We're actually missing a few in that photo. For education and work, I graduated from the University of Kansas with a bachelor's in secondary English education, and then I also have a master's in high incidence special education from Fort Hays State University. This is my 6th year in education, and during those 6 years, I've been a high school English teacher. I've been a 4 through 8 special education teacher and a 9 through 12 special education teacher. And my current position is as an IEP specialist for a special education cooperative in central Kansas, where I provide training to all of our teachers in our 15 districts on how to write compliant IEPs. Synthesizing the readings, teachers are currently feeling overwhelmed by their workload and everything that is demanded of them, and they're feeling undervalued within their positions. Most teacher evaluation systems do not gauge teacher effectiveness, but they're more of just a what the readings consider a rubber stamp or just a box checking method. Teacher evaluation systems are not driving training to improve teacher effectiveness. So for example, teachers are going in and being evaluated, and if there's areas that are concerning or need improvement, then there's not professional development that's being aligned to address those issues. Teachers are often not provided with the training opportunities that they need. It goes back to that professional development that addresses all of those areas that need improvement. And then recruitment, classroom performance, and retention increase when well-being is addressed. So this is kind of a new concept within these readings, just trying to address the reasons why teachers are leaving at such a high rate and why it's so difficult to recruit teachers, but really focusing on that idea of well-being. For the topic of improvement, improvement in schools is generally centered around student performance, and evaluations should drive that professional development. So when we're evaluating teachers and notice that they're struggling in an area or need improvement in an area, then we should be finding that professional development and giving them the time to be able to go to that professional development and apply those skills to their classroom. According to the National Association of Secondary School Principals, a presentation from education policy expert Linda Darling Hammond, 2010, noted that well under half teachers receive continued professional development, mentoring, coaching, or engage in peer observation as a result of evaluation. So from this, what I'm gathering is that we're getting to that evaluation point to improve student learning and to improve what teachers are doing, but we're not always making those connections of making sure that they are mentored and giving them the skills to improve. If evaluations do not lead to increased training, then how are teachers expected to improve their skills in the classroom and enhance student performance? I feel like this is where we get to that disconnect of if we're identifying these areas of need and we truly want student performance to increase and we want teacher effectiveness to increase, then we really need to address the issue of not providing that professional development to them when it's needed. For retention, I think this has been a rather large topic, especially my experiences in Kansas. It's been a very large topic in Kansas just even within the past few weeks, but it's getting increasingly difficult to recruit and retain teachers, and that was one of the themes that was consistent throughout all of these readings. but teachers are not going into the field. I've read some articles just on some universities actually cutting out their education program because they just no longer have the interest that they used to have, and they don't have enough people who are willing to become teachers. And even when we do recruit teachers, it's awfully difficult to retain teachers. And according to Torres and Cristoni, in order to retain teachers, they should be invested in, provided professional development, given the opportunity to engage in weekly debriefing, provided with test preparation, money, be involved in the school and activities, and given opportunities for growth. So if teachers feel like they are valued and they feel like they are seen within their districts and are given all of these opportunities to be involved, then they're going to be more likely to stay within a district. And then you'll be able to recruit more teachers. Goyle states that while teacher workload may not be an item that can be easily addressed, something that can be controlled is teacher well-being. So in order to retain teachers, we need to address that idea of well-being, because it's not always possible to address that idea of reducing workload, because a lot of times, you still have to do the basics of grading and lesson planning and taking data, and a lot of those things just can't be taken away from the teaching experience, but there's different things that can be implemented within districts to improve retention. And learning is another topic that was consistent throughout all of these readings. So when teacher well-being is addressed, learning improves. And I believe this works both ways. So learning improves for the teacher and learning improves for the students. So what I mean behind that is that if teacher well-being is addressed and professional development is provided to teachers, then they're going to be more likely to learn and apply those skills back into their classroom, and then that student improvement will increase. According to Garland et al., when teacher workload was altered, providing the changes were firmly rooted in evidence of impact on children's learning. So in this study, they worked to just kind of decrease the amount of grading that was required, or data taking that was data collection that was required. And then they actually saw an impact on children's learning. So they did some different things with homework. So homework was based on completion, and the impact on children's learning was actually increased. It is contradictory to what teachers have been led to believe, because teaching a lot of times becomes very progress and performance driven. And if you're not assigning a whole bunch of homework, or you're not constantly gauging learning and gauging that engagement within class, then teachers are kind of led to believe that they're not doing the right thing, or their students aren't performing where they need to perform. Teacher effectiveness cannot simply be measured using student test scores. So learning can be addressed in various ways, and it cannot just be based upon how students are scoring on standardized testing, state assessments, anything along those lines. And the National Association of Secondary School Principals states that while evaluating teacher effectiveness is necessary, some researchers caution against relying on student test scores as a valid metric. So just going back to that, there should be more to a teacher evaluation and more to address the learning of students and learning of teachers than just simply looking at raw test scores. And finally, the last consistent theme throughout all of these readings is teacher well-being. So collaborative professional culture is centered around teacher well-being. And there's various ways to address teacher well-being, including reducing workload, creating a positive work environment, building relationships with staff, transparency, teamwork, mindfulness, and simple incentives. By addressing teacher well-being and by looking into all of these different topics, it could be the end to the teaching crisis. And another article even suggests leaders becoming trained in supporting the mental health of staff in order to promote retention and be able to recruit more teachers in. For the standard correlation, these resources increased my content knowledge of supervision and evaluation because it made me step back and recognize the very basic practices of it. There's a teaching crisis, and teachers are difficult to find and even more difficult to retain. In order to address these issues, the article suggests that schools take teacher and student well-being into consideration. Student improvement largely depends on whether the student's well-being is addressed and whether they feel valued within the school or not. Teacher evaluation often does not lead to increased learning for teachers because the necessary professional development that should come out of these evaluations is not provided. For relevancy, this assignment is relevant to my current learning because it made me think about teacher well-being and retention from the perspective of a school leader. The selected articles support the educational success and well-being of each student and adult because they suggest that by addressing this issue and working to resolve it, then outcomes improve for everyone. Additionally, throughout my time as an educator, I've been in different buildings that manage staff well-being extremely well and other buildings that do not manage it very well. And so the buildings that take the time to recognize teachers and make them feel valued are the buildings that have less turnover and overall happier and more involved staff. For the reflection, this assignment will influence the decisions I will make as a future school leader because I'll work to center decisions around teacher and student well-being. If a collaborative professional culture is created from the beginning, rather than attempting to address it when the nation has reached a teacher shortage crisis, then teachers will be more inclined to continue working in that specific district, and success will be fostered for all. Additionally, I will work to ensure that staff evaluations and professional development are closely aligned. As a future school leader, I will also make sure that staff evaluations are not simply a checked compliance box. And then these are the references that I used throughout the presentation. Thank you for watching.